Black Power, sis. I'm finally in. I don't know if you can hear me. That's what I was supposed to. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Um, on air. Can't see and hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, can we hear? Let's
Oh,
see.
okay. I think I'm in.
Okay, I think I'm in too. Can y'all hear me?
I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay. Let me check on Cassandra. All
I can't hear you, Sister Janae.
right. I thought I was gonna make
Can you
it
hear me now?
home.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I had my microphone off. I'm sorry. I know everybody's like, what is she saying? Okay. Who we waiting on? We waiting on one more person, right?
Cassandra, I just messaged her.
Yeah, she's okay. Chantel. Okay. Well, go ahead, Sister Shore, and you have the floor, Queen Mother. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for setting it up. I really appreciate using this platform to Sisters of the Underground. Much gratitude to you. You've been working hard out.
Is it too much feedback?
It's an echo.
Okay, we might have to work
Might
through
have to
that.
mute.
Okay, try it now.
Is this better? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
hear the echo.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
like I was saying, to say thank you for introducing Sisters of the Underground to this platform. I've never
Hmm.
heard of, and I'm very appreciative of all your hard work. You've been putting in some work this week, man. I thought I did
Yeah.
sleep.
Oh no. I just if it comes to me, I got to do it right away because something else will come up and it'll take my
Oh,
attention away. And this is so important. Hey, sister,
Can you
she's on
guys hear
here.
me?
Yes, we can hear you. Mhm. It's so important that we all get this information out. I talked to my national chief of staff and our chairman emeritus in the New Black Panther Party national team, and they were all for it. They was like, "Yes, let's link up with these queens. Let's do this." That'll force the rest of the party to pull together, knowing that we have this responsibility as a paramilitary to do these type of things, these operations. So a lot of the formations are already trained in extraction teams and what to look for in human trafficking and rings and things like that. But some of them don't have those problems. They don't know about it. They don't know how to get that training done. So
Right.
this is perfect for us. Mhm.
So for those
Agreed.
who do know how to set up their extraction team, I have put together a what I call a template, of basic uh, information that I can get to everyone to kind of tell what extraction team is, what it does, what this is, and how to practice those. So if they are called on a green light and help these sisters that are conductors on the ground. So we definitely have that support to anyone that is looking to set up an extraction team. But I did just want to go over a little bit of what Sisters of the Underground. Sisters of the Underground, a group of in all black formations, and what it is we do um, sex trafficking. We work with those that are trying to gang activity, those that have of gang activity as well. So those that need to relocate, afraid of retaliation from someone or a mother or father. There's a lot of echo. Is it coming off on you guys?
If everybody just
No.
mute, put yourself on mute if you're not speaking. That might help.
All right. Let me go. All right.
Okay, just try it again.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Like we work with trafficking within the black community, domestic violence. We work with those that are escaping gang activity, those that have been victims of gang activity. Right now, the most of our work is within the domestic violence line of work. However, we are looking to go in and work with our sisters and brothers that are, victims of human trafficking. We also know that human trafficking does not just mean sex trafficking. Human trafficking can mean you're being held against your will, performing some type of work in someone's home against your will. You're being forced into prostitution against your will. A lot of people hear that term and they only consider that you're being forced into prostitution, but they don't realize that modern day slavery is not just a mental, but it is definitely still a physical issue within the black community. We do only keep our resources and our work in the black community. That is the reason why we chose the name Sisters of the Underground. We are not trying to partner with any national um, networks. We're trying to build our own national network within our black across all 50 states for the black communities. We don't have anything against those networks. It's just that we know that when it comes to black children or black women and men, sometimes those resources are very limited and they don't get the justice that they deserve. They don't get proper resources given to them. So we want to take their model and take their model platform and create our own. We do not want to work on any national scale. We don't want too much attention brought to this. Everything that we're trying to keep it on a need to know basis. So far, we have the 50 states divided into regions. It's myself, Sister Janai, Sister Cassandra, and Sister Chantel. Um, I believe, I'm the Southwest, right? I get it mixed up all the time. Um, And I think I'm rambling, so I'm gonna go ahead and let one of the other sisters kind of go in. I do have some statistics that I would like to go over as far as how human trafficking and domestic violence is a problem within the Black community. But I just want to let everyone else introduce themselves before I take over the whole session. So I'm gonna mute my mic, and one of you can go ahead.
Go ahead, ladies. I'm just gonna moderate. Go ahead. They know me from it's broadcasted from my page, so you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, sorry. I keep messing with the phone because on my end it's all over the place. I'm Cassandra from the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and for the longest time, domestic violence was my only platform because it was just so near and dear. But recently, I use sex trafficking victims, and it's really opened my eyes to just how intricate it is, how many people involved, and how people use the internet specifically to really lure these young girls in. That's really a huge thing for me. So, in the trauma that they suffer, it's a lifetime of it, and it's something preventable. So, I think that not only assisting sex trafficking victims is a big thing, but educating people on how real and raw it is. Do you really know who your children are talking to? Do you know all these people on their Facebook pages? Do you know these people in their social media apps? Do you check in and see what they really have going on in their phone? I know that was always a issue of contingency with my children, me wanting to go through their phone, but it wasn't. I didn't care about the little kitty stuff. I was really looking to see where there are adults catfishing kids, and I'm just in awe of how easily that happens. So not only now am I worried about domestic violence, but I'm really concerned about the sex trafficking and also child molestation because the sex trafficking starts really, really young with little kids. So it's almost like a hand in hand kind of thing.
Black Power. And thank you
Black
for
power.
sharing that, Sister Cassandra. Just like
Yep.
you said, all of us have been dealing with different things in our area. Here in Washington, D.C., we have a lot of human trafficking and we have a lot of missing children, especially right here in my own neighborhood here in Southeast DC. So I was just like so relieved when I saw this program, which I was like, now finally we can bring attention back to the things that we've been doing, which we really couldn't tell everybody. We got an extraction team, we got this and we got that, because we don't want to target ourselves individually, but having a network of people and opening the doors up to different formations. And if we have to send somebody from out of town to go and get somebody, we can do it. Now it can be done. Because my thing was the numbers. I didn't have enough people here to make it happen, to really just successfully pull off a rescue mission. But now we've gotten the back. We have the networking of all the gun clubs in the area in the DMV. I don't like the name drop and everything, but we have a lot of people that are supporting this movement, and I'm just thankful to be a part of it. That's it. So, but and our main thing that I'm stressing to them is that we are going to protect the identity of our extraction teams as well as our passengers that come through the underground. And that's very important to me. Privacy and confidentiality. I don't mind you knowing what I do, but I'm not going to tell you who all my people and my resources are. I'm not giving them up, because that compromises the whole organization and everything. So you guys have done a great job. I know you rescued a couple people already, just in a couple months. So that's great. That's great
Yeah.
news. So Sister Chantel, you want to start and introduce yourself to us? I'm
Black
gonna mute.
Power Sisters. So I'm Chantel, Quiet Storm. I'm in Houston, Texas, and I'm a part of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club as well. And I just want to give my gratitude to the sisters for inviting me in This is a new project for me, and I'm pretty sure that the ancestors spoke with each one of the young ladies to invite me and choose me for a reason and a purpose. And I really thank y'all for thinking about me. I'm not for sure where I'm headed, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go there with y'all. And so, like I say, I don't have much information on this. This is something that I haven't really just seen in front of my eyes. I've heard about it over the years. When I worked in the salon, we had to post signage that says, if you're sex trafficked, a hotline and stuff. But we just posted because we had to have it there. But now I'm realizing, I guess over the last year or two, how many black children, not women, but just the children. I just couldn't even imagine if someone took my girls and made them into a sex slave. I mean, I just couldn't imagine. So, I'm here to help, as many as I can.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
for joining
for joining
us. You
us.
are
You are
a valuable
valuable
asset.
asset.
We're trying to
Kind of
the
the
train
train
on
on
you
you
will.
will.
Uh, but I did want to really quick touch on what something that you just said as far as not a lot of people knowing just how much of an issue that human trafficking is within the Black community. So, statistics show that 62% of human trafficking victims are African American. And I want to pose a question to everyone that's listening. Why do you think that percentage is so high? What is the reason that percentage is that high? Did one of you want to go ahead
Go
and
ahead and
I
answer the
I
Is
would
it
say
because we
I
don't
think
get the
it's high.
exposure? High.
Is it me doing all
Is
this
it me
echo?
doing all this echo?
I think it is. Okay, so I think it's so high because we have dropped the ball on community. We forgot about the you and me in the you and me and I in the community because people feel like it's not my child, it's not my problem. It's not your problem until it happens to you, until it happens to somebody in your family. And we've gotten out of the village mentality of all of these kids on the street in this block, but are our kids. You know what I'm saying? So anybody can just walk up and walk away with one of them, and nobody saw anything, nobody heard nothing, because you're not looking out for your kids. My children aren't even in DC, but I sit outside on my patio during school time and make sure all these kids come, that nobody's stopping, nobody's talking to them at the stop sign that they don't know. People will pull up in a car and try to ride off with these children and things like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. The kids are walking around the neighborhood hungry. Somebody
yeah.
say, here, you want a sandwich or you want a couple of dollars, I'll take you to the store or whatever. They'll get in the car and do anything. So people have
Absolutely.
just really dropped the ball on being responsible for all of these babies out here. Now it takes a village. It still takes a village to raise one child. And I was fortunate enough, I was raised down south in a community where I still can go, to my hometown. Even my mom is dead and gone. My dad has moved in on, but I can still go back. And those people, same people that raised me are there, and they will take care of me and make sure I get what I need and go home, whatever. Because we had to find that, you had to build that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know your neighbors. You gotta be able to knock on the doors today and do those type of
Absolutely.
things.
And
So that's
I
probably
just,
why
I,
it's high.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry, sis.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was just having a similar conversation, maybe the day before yesterday, and I was telling because I live in Las Vegas right now, but I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and on one block, everyone was family on that block. Like you knew each other's whichever person the you knew what house they belonged to. You knew cousins that didn't even live on the block. You knew aunties, but they turned into your aunties just because one of their family members lived on that block. And it didn't just stop at one block. The entire neighborhood was like one big family. I remember as a young child, different houses on the block having what they call would be rent parties. You know, somebody is about to be kicked out of their homes, a group of people host a party and everybody chip in to pay that person's rent. If a person had a family member that passed away, couldn't afford the funeral, because another statistic within the black community is not all of us have life insurance. So a way to help with some of that financial burden on a funeral, they would have these what they call fish fries and card games and different things like that, just to kind of build up this money. We need to get back to those type of things to show unity, because right now everyone is focused on, okay, like sister said, well, this is my child, he's safe, he's doing that, my daughter's over here, she's not involved in that, but she may know somebody else child that is. But we have to get out of only doing for self and look at it as a whole family. I think we've lost that. I've even been in a situation where I've seen a child maybe out in the community doing something they didn't have to do, and I would take them home, and the mother would curse me out, and I'm like, "This is how I was brought up. There was nowhere in my neighborhood that I could go to and be out there doing something that I had no business doing, and another adult walked past and saw it and then chastised me for it." I think that played a huge part in how I raised my children as well, because I gave them that same foundation. I would tell parents, if you see my children out there doing something, please come knock on my door. All of their friends, parents had my phone number, emails, were able to reach me at any moment. But somehow in these major cities, and I will say Las Vegas in particular, because that's where I'm currently staying, I don't see that. I don't see that family unity. I don't see that neighborhood community coming together when tragedy happens, or to celebrate something that is going on in the community. It's all okay. Well, I'm over here, I'm doing my thing, and I'm legit over here. I don't care about what's going over there. Where did that come from? How did we get to that point? I think once we are able to answer that, maybe we can kind of reverse that and get back to the basics of how we were raised. I think all of us are in the same age range, so we all
Yeah,
probably
I
have.
agree with you. I really
Right.
think part of the problem is at some point the children have more rights than the parents. There was a time where the neighborhood could tell your whole child. Like my roots go back to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So had I done something all the way, let's say we at Ella Bell house, I might get a whooping from Ella Bell house all the way to my house and then have to deal with my parents. But
Yes,
now in your own house, your child can get a restraining order against you for simply disciplining them. Like you can't discipline your child, but when they turn 18, the police can beat on them. They can throw them in a box. They can kill them and get away with it. But if they took the respect from the parents, and kids now don't respect adults. I'm floored at how disrespectful these kids are. It has
yes,
to
man.
start with resetting boundaries and taking your power back. That's an everyday struggle with parents and children. And in a socioeconomic environment, it just doesn't work. We got to work harder than our parents probably had to. Somebody was home by 5 o'clock in our generation, either the mom or the dad. This generation, me as a mom, I've missed a lot of things because I worked, 16-hour days. I mean, I'm sure everyone can relate. You have to work because it's so expensive, just basic living. And that leaves your children in the open to get into all kinds of things. And that's really where the problem starts. The kids don't respect the boundaries, and we stop setting the boundaries. That's why they're so out of pocket.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And then I did want to touch on something that you did mention as far as
All kinds of
right.
things. And that's really
We know that those type of laws and those type of things, that those did not come from the Black community. There's no parent in the Black community that, I'm sure voted for those type of laws to be in effect within the homes. So we have to look at the basics of where all of these issues are coming from. Who are these people, and why do they think that a child living under a parent's roof have more rights and can get away with who knows what under their parents' roof? Like, where did that come from? Who decided that that was okay?
Well, I believe it's been an agenda. It's been an attack on the Black family because they know once we're unified in how we were structured back in those days, and I'm pretty sure the way how all of us grew up, it's just been an attack on breaking us up and putting so many distractions. And then on top of that, we're not showing up to any of these meetings that make the decisions to change. We're not at the city hall meetings. We're not at the school meetings. We're not at anything. When you go to them, you see one or two Black parents. But when you have a whole full room of Black parents going in there demanding the change, then I mean, what can they do?
I absolutely agree. I think the one good thing that came from the pandemic was homeschooling. You know, I'm a firm believer in homeschooling. I see a difference in my kids. One I sent to school very early, and one went very late, and I see a huge difference in time, the things they understand, their ability to research. Not to say that one is smarter than the other. Their process is different. You know, so I do. I think if we start homeschooling a little more, we can change the mentality too of the way the next generation is going to come up, and we don't have to deal with all of that intervention from people we didn't invite to restructure our family anyway.
So, right. Hey, yes. Oh, I just had a house guest come in. That's fine. It's my cousin. So I was a little distracted, but this
Hey,
this
cousin.
conversation is so needed. He's helping out. We just started a rites of passage program, and we're helping the kids with boxing. We teaching the kids in the neighborhood how to box. So that's what they do. They getting ready to work out and box with the children. There's one little boy. He coming there every day at 4 o'clock. He comes down here and gets training. So they getting ready for that. But it's just, this conversation is just, it's so needed, ladies. And I'm just so thankful and I'm so grateful to be a part of this organization. I'm thankful because, I mean, it was something that had been on my mind for the longest, but I just didn't know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Didn't know how to do it, didn't know how, where to start and where to begin. And in just a simple conversation that you had, that we had, let's do this, let's build this network up. Let's keep this conversation going because Black people don't realize until something happens to one of them that this happens every year, every day in our communities. Every day Black children go missing. There's a specific number. I can't even remember. I don't want to start misquoting, but they was like, why do you think that you don't ever hear about the missing children? You know what I'm saying? We still looking for Relisha Rudd here in Washington, D.C. They have no idea where this child is. You remember her story? The child that got kidnapped from the shelter. Her mom was in the shelter. She left her kids with her grandmama. The grandmama let her get the little girl, and she sold the little girl to a man that was a janitor at the shelter. The man ended up getting killed and killing his wife. He killed his wife and he killed himself. And nobody ever found out where the little girl was. So her father, which I could try to get in touch with him too, he's an advocate right now. The little girl's dad has been looking for her for the last 6 years. No sign of her, no nothing. They looked all over the place for this little girl and they have not found her. So they was thinking that he may have sold her into a human trafficking ring. You know what I'm saying? He may have put her in there, and then she's probably somewhere tied up in the basement somewhere. We don't know. Let's pray she's still alive, at least, you know. But it's just, you know, it's things like that that we need as advocates. We need to get a grip on, because it, like you said, if Black Lives Matter to us, then it needs to matter to us. Okay, like yep. It needs to matter to all of us. Black lives matter. They matter to us. You know, we can't be out here screaming Black power. And the only time we doing that is when the camera's rolling, you know, and when there's something going on against white people. We have more issues within our own community that we need to be addressing. Black power, you know, and that's the number one thing that where my heart is and my compassion is, because I moved to DC in 2016, and that was right before we had that 1 week. In 1 week, over 20 different Black girls got missing.
Wow.
In Washington, D.C. area, in the metropolitan area. And that was the only reason why it made the news, because it was so many of them at one time. But every week we get missing children. Every week, every day. I got a couple of them on my road, right here on Stanton Road. They go missing. So I'm going to make it my business every day that it's nice and pretty. I have a little table. I set up outside. I sit on the sidewalk. I feed the kids. You know, they come by, get a juice, get some chips, a snack or whatever, you know, whatever I can do. It just, they don't know I'm actually monitoring these cars coming by. You know what I'm saying? And then we got another apartment complex built up across the street. That's going to cause even more problems. Because you got you putting 500 more families in this area where it's already 250,000 people. And we in a food desert. We don't have no food. We don't have no grocery stores. We don't have no, corner stores that serve fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. So
we're just saying that the other day. Yeah. I sure did say that.
We are struggling. So what I did today, and I'm not bragging, and I didn't put it all on Facebook and everything, but we do have Martha's Table, which is a food resource place here in DC. And it's just right up the corner, but it's up a steep hill. And I have elderly people in my building. So when I got a chance, I go get 5 or 6 boxes and bring them down, so they don't have to walk up the hill to go get the food. You know what I'm saying? Some of them will just sit there until they can, till somebody bring them something. They don't have the strength or the energy to walk up the hill to go get food. And that's what the Panthers are all about. That's what if you call yourself a Panther, you need to be knocking on doors and knowing who needs what in your community. Now I know who needs what. Now I'm more conscious and aware of who I need to get out of this building first. You know what I'm saying? If anything happened, the building catch on fire or whatever, or in any incident, we just need to be Panthers all over. We need to be creating Panthers in every city and every state. We need a headquarters. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whatever you do, we need to have those type of outlets where people that can't afford to get help can get help and bring it to them. We need those mutual. We got a mutual aid fund here in DC. I don't know. Do y'all have those in Las Vegas? Mutual aid networks? Y'all don't have those? Y'all need to develop them then. And all it is a chat room. And whatever you can give, if you need to give, people give away furniture. People offer to buy groceries for people. People offer cash donations, which I don't advise you to do that, because I get this same crazy people asking me for money all the time. I mean, but if you could afford to do that, you do that. But they even have a cake making team. Suppose you can't afford to
Wow.
buy your child a birthday cake. So they have ladies in the community that bake cakes for fun, that will bake you a cake, and for free. If you can pay them if you want to, or whatever. But if you can't afford to buy, go to this $300 birthday cake, it's
Mhm.
something like that. I actually signed up for one this year myself. I haven't celebrated my
Nice.
birthday in 2 years since the COVID hit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just the mutual. Think about that. In every city, they need a mutual aid network. If you can
You are
provide
excellent at
food,
resources, Sister Janai. You are excellent at the resources. I
I
love
am
it.
a resource queen. Honey, you tell me that. I have lived my life. I promise you. I lived in Atlanta. Everybody used to call me, "What's going on in Atlanta?" Well, this, that. Okay, so you called me when I lived in New York briefly. I knew what was going on up there. It's not always what you know. I mean, who you know, but it's what you know. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. I
And
say.
who you know. You got to know what's going on and what's relevant to stay relevant. You know what
True.
I'm saying? I moved up here to DC with nothing but a suitcase and my sister. I came to stay with my sister, and I end up from Washington DC. Call James for me. Call James for me. And I moved up there from Washington D.C. and I didn't have anything, but I heard this girl talking. She was trying to help one of her friends, and I was like, "Darn, I need the same thing she needs." So I just followed her. You know what I'm saying? I was like, "Let me follow them," and I followed the girl, and everything that I needed to get done, I got it done. You hear me? From the
Mm,
resources, being
nice.
resourceful, and knowing that the people that were, what the same thing that girl needed that I needed help with too, and I got on my feet. I got my license. I mean my ID, because the best thing about moving to a big city, you have to have you got to be a resident of that city, in order to get the resources and stuff like that. So that was the first move. So now when I get people, and you will be amazed. It's people that's been living in this city their whole entire lives, and they don't even have an ID. They don't even know how to go about obtaining identification. Simple stuff, like that. So what I've been doing, I had one of my friend girls, she didn't have no ID. And I'm like, you 50 something years old, you don't have an ID? How have you been living? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? With no identification. Okay. Okay, thank you. And stuff like that. So what I do is I help people that come off the streets, and I help them get their identification. I get them into a core service program. Um, and once you get your core service social worker, that's your link to the resources in the city. That's your link to housing. That's your link to mental health services. That's your link to whatever barriers that you have to help you get on your feet. Like I can say honestly, since I've been here 2016, it took me a year and a half to get in my own apartment. And that's good because it's people here been here their whole life. They have never had their own apartments. They have never gotten nowhere. They have never sought resources. And DC is a sanctuary city. You know what I'm saying? People send people to DC because they know they got these programs. And this is federal government. This is we live in the federal government. They got all kind of government housing and programs and things like that here and resources. That's for the people. But if you don't know nothing and you don't know how to go about doing it, you'll just wander the streets like everybody else, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
what
that in Maryland too. Yep, that's true. That's very true.
you will. But it's so, and I was like, these people, ain't nothing wrong with these people. They just need some help. They just need some people that really genuinely care about them. And because a lot of the people that have made it, this bourgeois culture, a lot of people got these good government jobs. PG County got the richest black people in the United States living out there.
Yes, they
You
do.
know, once they have made it, they don't come back to DC. You know what I'm saying? They stay in PG County. They stay up Marlboro and other places, and they don't come back to the city. They don't give back to the city. They don't bring their money back here. They might come and eat uptown or something like that, but they don't come back to Southeast and where I live and give back to this community. And it shows because it's deteriorating rapidly every day. You know what I'm saying? Every single day. So these programs, this right here, being a part of the Sisters of the Underground, is going to help millions of people. That's how I'm predicting it. Millions of people will be helped by this program. Millions of people will have resources, and I've already contacted people that live in that already specialize in human trafficking here in DC. So all I have to do is make a phone call. Once I get a passenger on this train, make a phone call, they will go pick them up. You know what I'm saying? They'll go pick them up or whatever, if it's somebody that just need to be picked up or whatever. And they will take them and place them in custody and in care. So as conductors, that's all we really need to be focused on. If we have to go that extra route, we know we have access to those type of things. You know what I'm saying? We have access. We can activate our extraction teams. We can activate people just to go pick up somebody and go do this. I told my whole cadre, and I'm also I'm the local chairman of the New Black Panther Party for Washington D.C., but I'm also assistant to the regional chairman. So he made it mandatory for all of the Mid-Atlantic to get this extraction team training. You know what I'm saying? And he activated all of them. So, it's nothing. Once you hit me up from the East Coast, it's done. We got it. And we can send our people into play. And that's one thing that I've always tried to figure out. How could we do it? Now it's possible. Now it can be done. So kudos to you, Sister Shakur. Definitely give her a round of applause for just putting this together, and just linking with the right people. That's all it takes. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can stay right in our gun clubs and right in our militias and everything like that, and still continue to get things done, but now we have a network of people to do that. So I'm just glad. I'm really glad to be a part of this outfit. My MOD, he was excited about it, and he's been making rounds throughout the city, and just making sure, like, if it's somebody that look, this is a house where they housing young girls at, we going in there. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get these kids.
I recently saw that, and now, like I said, I normally handle the domestic violence piece, and I'm starting to really see the sex trafficking thing. I mean, I've heard about it before, but they have this thing called guerrilla pimping, and it actually started like in Austin, Texas. I lived in Texas at the time this first started happening, but I was like, oh, that's BS. I wasn't woke then. I wasn't really seeing it for that. I was running the streets, so I didn't see it that way. But there's men that will really snatch you up, put you in a trunk, and drive you to another state and sell you to someone else. And by the time they let you out that trunk, you probably could be from Massachusetts to California. So there's a program that we started, it's still fairly new, but we teach ladies how to get out of these situations when there's an attempted kidnapping. How do you disable the trunk? There's a light in the trunk that you can activate and they won't even know. That way you can see what's around you, Certain cars have those emergency eject buttons. So I'm hoping that we can really educate people, not just on sex trafficking, but actual guerrilla pimping. There's men that pull up in vans and snatch you in the car, drug you. I don't know about all the different types, but I know there's many types of fast acting drugs, hallucinogens. So they'll drug you, put you in the trunk. Believe it or not, people think that Connecticut doesn't have a lot of black people. Well, I am here to tell you, there's more black people than white people here. And it's a lot of foolishness that goes on here. And one of the things I see is these young girls who live in these suburban areas get online and they think they're going to meet these guys from urban areas. You got to be careful of the bad boys that you want to be with so bad, because most times, they're not who they say they are anyway, and you think you meeting up with this guy, and next thing you know, you in the trunk or you drugged in the car, you getting raped in the van on the way to be sold. You know, they rape you. It's called vaginal testing, and that's the pretty term for it, to see if you're any good or not. Isn't that something? You're a
Wow.
product. You're a product that they test.
Yeah, the deeper you go into this information, and I've just scratched the surface because I just, I never had to
Mhm.
deal with anything like this before, being in the new Black Panther Party. It's just it's shocking. It's very shocking that this stuff happens right in our faces. And I did have a flyer, which I can't find it right now, that gives you things, like I think Sister Shakur, you got some information, don't you, to share about, like, signs to look for, things to look for, um, in case of for human trafficking. Let me see. It might be in this phone. I got like 3 phones, y'all. I'm so ashamed. Look, okay. No, that's 14. But it was just giving a breakdown of things to look for. Let me see if I can find it. I got it in that file. Let me look at my file. Okay. And then I did give y'all access to that to the file, my drive, where I'm collecting information about human trafficking. Okay. And it's the DC Underground. Okay. So the first thing we want to share is the National Human Trafficking Hotline with you all. And that's 1-888-373-7888. So I can put that on social media and make sure that everybody knows, if you're a victim of human trafficking, or if you know somebody that's a victim of human trafficking, you really need to give them this information. 1-888, and it's 373-7888. Okay. That's the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Okay. Is there any information y'all want to share? Because we coming up on the hour. We got the last 10 minutes. We don't want to hold it a 2-hour show.
I know I have some, but you know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to just tag it to your page because I was in between clients. So I'll tag everybody the information to check the missing girls database, because some of these girls aren't missing, they're sex trafficked.
Right.
Some of them are hidden in plain sight. So when I have the opportunity, I'm definitely gonna tag you sisters with the pictures of the girls because they might be in your area.
Right. Right. So we got the human trafficking hotline, and where else? I got some other stuff. I had took some screenshots. Okay. Okay, these are some organizations that help fight human trafficking. And it's the first one is Global Alliance Against Trafficking Women, Stop the Traffic, the Urban Justice Center Sex Workers Project, um, Fair Girls, UNICEF, Freedom Network USA, and Love 146. That's 7 organizations that fight against human trafficking. And all that can be shared. You can Google this stuff, resources and things like that. And I just plan on making a package for my, me and my chief of staff. We're going to work on making a package for when we get a passenger. So who to contact, and how we're going to handle them, and how we're going to make the process work and things like that. And I think that'll be very helpful for all of us to do. Just gather the information that you have in your area, that where you can get immediate help. And if at all costs, then we could try call in our teams and things like that. But I'm going to try to use what's already available first, and then if we have to go a little further, that's what we'll do. Okay. So is anything else y'all want to share before we wrap things up?
No, I think
No.
we're good.
Sister Shakur, you froze? I think she froze.
I was gonna say I haven't seen her move in a minute.
I like she looking the same way. I thought it was just me. I think she might be froze over there, or she got his own. Okay, so yeah, and I have to do my our boxing program at 4 o'clock with the kids, so they're
Okay.
gonna be here making noise in a minute.
Okay.
They're not coming today. Oh, he said they're not gonna make no noise, but they gonna. Yeah, all right. We talking about boxing here, okay? Okay.
All
So I
right.
mean, I'm just the underground sister is underground sisters 1 at gmail.com. That's our email. And any information that you guys want to share, any that email to underground1 at gmail.com. And each one of us will get to look at that email and see how we can help you. Right? That's how we doing it until we get the 1-800 number up and running. Is that correct?
Okay. Yes, I'm working on that now. I think for now we just have to have separate numbers because I don't know how we all would run on one modem. I haven't figured that part out yet. So, but I'm
It's
working on it.
Yeah, it's the age of information. We'll figure it out. That's why I was like, honey, we'll figure it out as we go on. We'll get
Yep.
more advanced and everything, and hopefully we'll get more women and men to come on, because it's not just about the sisters, it's about the sisterhood and the camaraderie that we have with each other. But it's more so that we're not sitting here waiting on nobody to tell us what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We're not waiting on the
Exactly.
order to come down from national for us to make
Right.
a move on what needs to be done. So if I get an order here in DC, guarantee you it's going to be carried out.
Yep.
So the best way that we know how. So it's best to be prepared for it. But in all courts, we're gonna do it by any means necessary.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So it's 3:55 now. Any closing remarks you guys want to share, Sister Chantel and Sandra? I don't know what's going on with Sister Shakur. She is froze.
I know, poor thing, because I know she had a list. She organized. She got a list.
Yeah.
The most important thing I want everybody to know is should you feel like you're in a bad situation, you're not sure, it's nothing just to hit one of us up and say, hey, this is kind of going on. Everything is confidential. I'm never going to say a word. None of us will. None of us ever will. And just
Mhm.
kind of see where you are. If you're not sure, that's the first sign that something's wrong anyway. So I encourage everybody to just reach out, especially these young girls, believe it or not, these young girls see your work. It was a young girl who hit me up, well, a messenger. I didn't really know who she was or even that she was on my page. So it's important to
Mhm.
just kind of for them to feel like they can reach out. They will have results. I promise.
That's right. Black
Hmm.
power.
Black power.
All right. Sister Chantel, you want to close her out? Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Tell her she muted. It's not letting you. No, you're not getting on. I don't know what's
No,
going on.
no. Well,
She,
it kicked me
she's
out
not
earlier, but
muted.
it put me right back.
It's not muted. I can't. Oh well. Well, we about to end anyway. Thank God
Yep.
it didn't start to the end. So we're
Yeah.
gonna use this information. We're gonna start a Patreon account up. We get our Patreon up and running because it takes money to do this. We're gonna provide a safe passage for people that really need it and honestly need the help and honestly need to get moved around this country safely. As conductors, we don't have to tell you who's on the caboose. Okay, just know that we're gonna get you where you gotta go. All
Yep.
right. So peace, love, and black power. We're gonna end it here. It's 3:58. We can't get Sister Shakur on. I'm so sorry, Sister Shakur. But we're gonna let you. We're gonna try it again. But we can come back in again. We can try it again at What time is it where y'all at in Vegas? I think it's like 1 o'clock in Vegas.
I think
It's
so. It's early afternoon.
yeah, one. Well, this is a good time of day for me. Any day, that we want to go back and have revisit this conversation, we can. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Peace and black power, queens. This is the
Peace
sisters
and
of
black
the
power, queen.
underground. Black power.
Black power.
Black power. Okay. Let me see.